What is going on, you guys? My name is Andrew, and today I'm going to be talking to you about my 200+ mile review on the ASICS Gel Nimbus 25 running shoe. I'm going to give you guys just some of my personal thoughts, some pros and cons, and talk about a few different points about the shoe, so that way hopefully I can help you with making your decision on if it's the shoe that you need before you spend your hard-earned dollars. Without any further ado, let me remove my shoe and let's get into it. So the first point I'm going to come across is these things smell terrible. That's my own personal fault, but that has nothing to do with ASICS. First point I do want to talk about is the comfort. Now, this was a big one for me because this was going to be my marathon training shoe for 2023. And I got to say, this thing is great for lower mileage. I've been using this for all sorts of mileages, from 5-mile days to 15, 16-mile days so far, and I will say this thing is superior for anything under 13. Part of that issue I do believe is it is a lot less foam in the base of the shoe compared to some of ASICS' other models. For instance, I also use the Nova Blast 3s, which has a beefier sole. The other thing too is once gels in the sole get worn down, they stay worn down until you take them off. So I feel like high mileage on that gel is just not optimal. If I had to give this thing a comfort rating though, under a certain amount of mileage, I would say under 13 miles, I would give it a 3.75 out of 5, but over that, it goes down to like a 2, 2.5. And that's simply just because after a while, it feels like you're just running on the sole and nothing more, and it's not a very comfortable shoe at that point. But everything else about it, the way it fits and hugs around my foot, just feels fantastic. So that's really the biggest issue, I think, but I feel like that's an issue with all gel sole shoes. The next point I want to talk about is the appearance, just how it looks. It's a very simple shoe. Unfortunately, I will say ASICS kind of dropped the ball as far as colorways go. This was the best looking one in my opinion. The next closest one was they had an electric blue, kind of similar to this one here, but it was the whole shoe, and I hate to say it, but Saucony kind of overtook them on the electric blue color. If you know which pair of Saucony I'm talking about, I can't remember the exact model, but they do a really, really good looking electric blue with some orange accents, and it's a beautiful shoe. But this one it's a less aggressive style. If you think of the Nova Blast has a really big, aggressive base on the heel. This is just very sleek, very simple, and there's nothing wrong with that. I do like how the bottom looks, even though you never really see that. But other than that, if I had to give this thing a rating as far as how the aesthetic is, I'd say a 3 out of 5. It's nothing over the top, nothing too special, very clean, very simple. I just really wish they would have gave us some better options as far as the colorways go. The next point I want to drive across is usability. What I would use this for is anything from about 5K to half marathon. Anything over that, you're going to start to experience some foot pain. I've definitely gotten close a couple weekends where my ankles are just sore, but if I ran in another pair of shoes on that same distance, I've never had an issue. So I do believe a lot of it has to do with that gel base. I don't think I'm going to be buying another pair of gel shoes for a while, but they're not bad for short distance. If you're not going to be on your feet too long, up to 2.5 hours, I think you'll be good. But as for running a marathon in these, I wouldn't recommend it. But training leading up to a marathon, I think you're good, but I would eventually transition to something that's a little bit more durable, maybe a carbon plate shoe after 15 to 18 miles. You're definitely going to need it. The next point I want to talk about with this shoe is the price. The price points that I was able to find were between $160 and $170. I personally paid $165, but it was discounted by my local run club by about 20%. So I did get a little bit of a discount on it. I think it was about $130 to $140. If I had to pay $160 to $175 for this shoe again, I would not. I personally don't believe it is worth that, in my personal opinion. So if you can get it discounted or you find it on clearance, that would be a better way to approach it. A similar pair of shoes that I did wear that kind of reminded me of this was the Brooks Ghost, which I believe those were in the price range of about $120 to $135. That would be a bit more appropriate for this shoe. I do gotta say that would be worth it. But yet again, The Ghost is a mid-range shoe up to, I believe, half marathon. I wore those last year for a half marathon and had similar issues, but they actually had no gel base. They just wore out a lot faster. So, like I said, for the price, if I had to rate it off the price, it's a 2 out of 5. It's not a very, very appealing price if you ask me, especially now that I've used this shoe for, like I said, 200 miles. I just personally don't believe it is worth that. All right, so finally I want to get into my pros and cons of the ASICS Gel Nimbus running shoe so I can get ready to go do some running myself. So the pros and cons that I have are, number one, the shoe is very lightweight and very durable. I am surprised by the balance it has, because I've had pairs of Nikes where they're very lightweight, but I'm blowing holes in the toe within the first 3-4 weeks, or the heel is just worn out. And this thing with plus 200 miles to 250 miles, I mean, this thing is, the foam doesn't look terrible. There's no tears in the heel. Usually I start seeing some issues back there. The sidewall still looks great. Even up by the toe, still got a pretty good amount of tread on that. So it doesn't look like it's gotten beat up for almost 250 miles. It looks pretty solid. The other pro I would give it is the foam base, much like I was saying with the durability, recovers really well. I've had days where I put up double-digit miles on a Saturday and go out on a Sunday for a recovery run and have no issues whatsoever with the shoe feeling like I'm walking on rocks. Now, the cons that I have are, this shoe is relatively expensive. Like I said, $165 for a lower mileage level shoe. If it's for racing, I say it's pretty worth it. But if it's for everyday use, trying to tack on miles, I think it is a bit expensive, and you can find better options for less money. The other negative I have of it is just the colorways. There was only one good one, in my personal opinion. If you're somebody who doesn't like a bunch of, colorful Nickelodeon color shoes, this was the only good one. And it's still pretty bright, but I think it holds pretty well. So overall, the shoe's great. I wouldn't buy it again, in my personal opinion. I do believe there are better options out there within the better price range, or better options within this price range that you can squeeze more mileage out of. But it's not terrible. All right, guys, so my final overall opinion on the ASICS Gel Nimbus shoe is, it's all right. I would give it a solid 3 out of 5. It's nothing spectacular. If it was a good short distance race shoe, I'd give it a 4 out of 5. But for a long distance shoe, this just ain't it, Chief. It's like a 2.75 out of 5. I do enjoy wearing it. It is good for, like I said, short workouts. Like, I'm getting ready to go do a track workout with this in a minute. It works quite well for that. But when I do my long runs on the weekend where I'm hitting 14, 15, 16 milers, this just isn't it. I need something a little bit more more sturdy on the base. So if you're looking for that, look elsewhere. I'm sure there's better shoes within this price range of $160 to $170. I'm sure there's shoes better than this or similar to this at lower price points. But anyways, guys, that's all I got for you today. If this is helpful, hopefully you consider liking and subscribing. I'd love to have you around. I'm going to have another review up in a few weeks on my 100-mile review on my race shoe, probably by the beginning of October. My marathon is October 22nd, so I got some time. And hey, hopefully this helps, and I'll see you guys in the next one. See ya.